Hey everybody, this is Lynn Watanabe McFarlane with Intero Real Estate Services. I'm going to interview a great contractor. I think that it would be really interesting. He talks about how to add value to properties. Take a listen. Hi, we are here with Bob of Creative Builders today, and thank you for inviting us here.
Glad to have you.
Yeah,
And I miss having people over with everything going on.
Yeah, this is a very beautiful area. Where can you tell us a little bit about your work and
My work, I try to, well, the company pretty much says it all, Creative Design Builders. I've been working in the trade since I got out of high school back in 1976, which was a long time ago. and got my license in '84. I always enjoyed designing and building, and I feel pretty blessed to be doing what I love.
yeah,
And I meet so many good people, along the way, clients and other builders and subcontractors. So it's been a good ride.
yeah, it's your work is just excellent with high-end properties, and so I think my seller is very fortunate to have met you and to do some work for her property on Lee Drive.
Yeah, she's a good lady.
Yeah.
She's built it right. So I
That's
really
great. I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about what you know about the property so that some of our buyers might be interested in learning more about it.
I guess what I would first start off with, what impressed me most about her home there, is the work that went into the foundation and
The rebuild.
The rebuild. And that's an area that gets missed a lot, especially up in these mountain homes and in other homes too, because you don't see that money that you invest into
That's
that
right.
area.
Yeah, like
But it's
something on a steep slope. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't want to invest in that.
Right.
So they would maybe superficially invest in decks or.
Exactly. They would put the money more into things you see, and that's okay for a while, but long term in a home, you're going to see the effects of that investment, lack of investment, and investment. And I would say that Mary has really gone the extra mile on that home to
she is, yeah.
really build something solid and something that could be built on an attitude to really even enhance it even more.
That's great. Yeah, I remember looking at the pictures, and there's a lot of French drains on the side to help with that,
Yes.
the downward slope of the drainage.
Yep. And good, like I said, a good foundation. A lot of tying into the hillside, which is really important, especially up in these mountain homes, is especially on the slope or even on the flatter lots, is to really go deeper with that foundation and really tie into that, almost like taking and tying into something to hit solid ground. So it's
That's
very well
great.
done.
Yeah, and so you've done a lot of work to the property over time. I'm wondering if you could talk about the steps, the beautiful stairs.
Yeah, I met Mary through a friend, and really, Mary's a really special woman, and we really bonded. I think we both appreciate, quality and creativity, and so.
And the property is very special too, right? I mean,
It
being
is.
right next door to the green belt.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I see that property and I see the green belt, and I, as I'm working there and I watch the lighting coming through the redwood trees that are beyond the bay leaf trees, and I just imagine opening up some of those bay leaf trees, just even maybe investing $1,000 even, and just taking down a few trees. The lighting changes so beautifully during the day.
Yeah.
It's like watch a living painting, and
It's so beautiful. I
Yeah.
just love being there and sitting on the deck. And you've rebuilt both decks, right?
Yeah.
And the steps.
And the steps. The
Yeah,
steps
I mean,
were-
all of them.
I would say the steps kind of built themselves and let me be a participant in the construction of those.
Yeah,
And
can you
which is
explain that?
sometimes,
Yeah.
that's interesting. One of the
beautiful.
things that I find after even 45 years of building, there's the magic of when you're doing something that's that you have an idea about.
Yeah.
But it evolves, and it's I can only say magic because it kind of creates itself, and you're working with it, and it just all clicks, and it's I think I still love that,
Yeah.
and I still in awe of it, even when it occurs after it has occurred so many times for me over the years.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And so I just wanted to point out that we're at Bob's house, and he's just wonderful designer, and he's used the same material as the stairs. Can you talk about a little
Right.
bit about that material?
yeah, corten is a really interesting material.
Yeah.
You take the corten, and it's like steel, but it's made to rust, and so when it starts rusting, you get to a point where of the rust that you like it, you can seal it and lock it in. And everybody likes a little bit more rust, a little bit less rust, so it gives you that opportunity to
Oh, you could
get to
decide.
exactly. You can say, okay, it's where I want it to be, and then you can seal it. And you only have to seal it every few years, maybe even 5 years, and it'll hold that.
Is that easy
color.
to do?
It's very easy
Okay.
to do. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very beautiful, and it matches with the wood and the scenery
Yeah.
of being here in the Los Gatos Mountains.
Mary's home right now, there's ways of speeding up that rust process, which we could have done on Mary's, but I think Mary and I thought it would be nice to let it happen more naturally and more organically.
Okay.
And so, which will happen over maybe a year to 2 years, and the buyer could have the opportunity to pick the rust
Right
tones they
tone.
really like.
That's beautiful.
And I would hate to create something that way they have the opportunity to really decide when
Right,
that they
patina
really
or-
that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're trying to give them that opportunity.
That's gorgeous. That's so
Yeah.
nice. So the decks are really lovely. If you have a chance to look at the decks, you can have a nice coffee out there. And I actually saw a couple of deer
Yeah.
strolling there, and the birds.
Yeah.
It's so peaceful, and we're so close to downtown Los Gatos.
Right. Yeah, it's a pretty unique lot there, the home where how it sets. You can look off to the open space, and it's below you, so it's kind of you're looking down and seeing deer travel
Yes.
with they'll be traveling with the baby fawns, and
Yeah, it's so
pretty,
magical.
pretty special.
Yeah, it is.
And you might see wild turkeys up there,
Yeah.
and baby wild turkeys, which we saw here yesterday.
Right. Oh.
Yeah, it's a place that you could definitely sit in and really enjoy the beauty around you,
Yeah.
especially with that open space that you have.
So let's talk about how to increase value of this property. I mean,
Right.
I think a lot of people are interested as an investment
Right.
or a home.
Yeah.
Wondering from an expert, what do you think?
Yeah, what I'm seeing, I always try to see this, the weaknesses of a home and the positive of a
Yes.
home, or the strength of a home. The weaknesses, there's not many. I mean, we rebuilt the deck, and it's built, you'll get a good 30, 40 years out of that deck.
It's turnkey, right? Wouldn't you say?
I would say definitely a turnkey. The house was built out of someone who saw them spending the rest of their lives there.
Yeah,
They weren't
she did.
They weren't designing or building for something that they're planning on moving out 10, 15 years. It wasn't a stepping stone. It was their dream home. And it was built to last. So
What do you think are the value
That's
adds to increase the value of this property?
yeah, I think the strength of that home, there's a lot of opportunity to have a multi-unit home. For someone who wants to rent out space, you have the lower area that could be converted to kitchen,
A little kitchenette.
little kitchenette
Yeah,
down there. Would be
is
some
there
opening.
Is there enough room in the?
There is. I have done
utility room?
kitchenettes and even things even smaller than that.
Really?
You just
Okay.
have to have a good imagination, and I think you could definitely create a
Yeah,
nice
with that
kitchenette.
separate entry,
Yeah.
that's really nice and private. That they can.
Yeah, I think
that.
people are looking for to have investment, to have that rent income, and then also you're starting to see people who are trying to keep the parents are getting older, and they're trying to have them closer
Yeah.
to them.
That's true.
And
Although this property might not.
Yeah, the
It's a
stairs.
little tough.
Yeah,
Unless they put a little tram.
That's
what do you
true.
call it? Vernacular.
but yeah, no, scratch
yeah.
that idea. But I think that it really
it
has a
is-
good opportunity to
A multi-generational living is something that I think a lot of people are exploring, especially during the COVID period. People are missing their adult children, like mine. They're coming
I
back
agree.
home, and
Yeah.
they want their independence. So
Yeah.
it'd be kind of nice to have it separate or passive income.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it gives the parents the opportunity to, maybe contribute to help them so their children can get in a home. A
Hmm.
lot of time, houses are so, real estate is
That's
so
right.
expensive in California.
Hmm.
Sometimes just need a little bit of help there. And
Yeah.
with the parents, you may be able to move in or
Yeah.
contribute,
Hmm.
you know.
And they can
But,
help.
I just think we need to starting to think out of the box a little bit more about
That's
how living situations and, like you said,
yeah.
people are starting to realize the value of family and friends with the covert that
Yep.
has really
Exactly.
helped us
No,
look at it.
we're seeing more opportunities to look for more spaces for
Right,
increasing space. Like mud rooms are
right,
popular. ADUs,
right,
accessory dwelling units, are extremely popular. So property with more land, accessible land
right,
to build a little unit, a rental unit is very popular.
right,
So we're seeing much more creativity.
right. Another thing, a strong point that I would say about this home, um, backing up a little bit, I've been doing a lot of high-end homes,
Hmm.
Los Altos, Palo Alto Hills. We're creating more indoor-outdoor living, which
Yes,
is
I
that's
love that.
that is where it's going.
Hmm.
The big homes, people are saying, well, I don't really need that big home to clean and take care of and heat.
Yeah.
And they're saying, but what's happening is people are trying to find a home that has outdoor space to grow to. And
Yeah.
I can't think of a better
Look at
home
this.
that you could open up some glass doors, or
Yes.
open up
Uh,
multiple unit
hmm.
sliding doors
Hmm.
and really create that indoor outdoor living.
Yeah.
Add some, maybe a few more decks in the lower area,
Hmm.
but you have such a amazing view
Yeah. And that
um,
opportunity to build
to
a
create.
deck
Yeah,
and create that space
because the home
is there.
isn't really big,
Now it's
but the
1,100.
outside space is big,
Yeah.
and outside space is very inviting right now. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
think if you could do more glass work or just a little
Yeah.
bit of opening up,
Hmm.
maybe opening walls, doors open into walls, and creating that indoor outdoor space,
Yeah.
because that's where it is. That's where architecture is going to, is
Yes.
that indoor outdoor living.
I love that,
Yeah.
where you have the doors that are wide open
Oh my
and
gosh.
it's just like a deck. It's so inspiring.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And California, with the weather we have here, we're capable of doing that.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, even right now, it's kind of a foggy. It rained
yeah,
yesterday,
yeah.
but you could still live outside and entertain outside.
Oh my
And
gosh, yeah.
yeah,
So it
and
would be a really good candidate for the indoor outdoor living kind of home.
yeah,
And if you wanted to multi-unit, we talked about,
that's
that could do
fantastic.
even the same thing.
Hmm.
Take that limited space and enhance it by opening more glass, more opening, sliding. Um,
That's
yeah,
sounds
so
like a great
that's just
idea.
an idea.
Hmm.
So
So something that you might want to consider is possibly building a two
yeah.
carport.
hmm
I don't know, how do you say that? Two-man carport, two-person carport.
Carport, yeah.
A carport in the property. Can you talk a little bit about your idea
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah, I talked to Mary, and I think the house would benefit from having a carport.
Hmm.
It's more of a car landing, I guess you would
A
call
car
it.
landing, and which is very
Yeah,
common up in the mountains here, right?
absolutely. I've
Yeah.
done quite a few up in the hills of Los Altos,
Yeah.
Palo Alto,
Hmm.
because you have the
And
land is
Aptos
so.
has quite a few, right?
Oh
Aptos
yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So,
absolutely. Menlo Park Hills and stuff.
hmm.
And we usually do a bridging system that is suspended above
Hmm.
the ground,
Mm.
and it worked pretty well. I've come up with a design um, that's a little more contemporary. I think it'd be kind of fun trying to really bring the surroundings into the design, and also take in consideration the ancient redwoods that you have right there by the property. That would be something that I'd be nice to really. I guess I would love to mention is you have some ancient redwood trees,
Yes.
old growth redwood
Yeah.
trees that have a diameter. I think they're 5 foot diameter.
They're
Pretty
big.
amazing. They're right there, and
Yeah.
they're going to be adjacent to the carport. The carport design is to try to work with the ancient redwood trees, the old growth redwood trees, which are very rare in the Santa Cruz Mountains unless you get into some of the state parks. Um, Big Basin would be one where they
Right.
still have the ancient
Hmm.
redwoods, which are amazing if you have never been to Big Basin.
Yeah, it's Amazing.
But you have two of the trees that you would find a big basin on your
Wow.
property.
Yeah, that property is great. I mean, with the way it's like a little valley, and you can meander
Yeah.
through there, through
Yeah.
the coves, and
Yeah, yeah, but the carport design is tried to really work with the trees that are there and try to be
Bring
less invasive as possible. And so this the design I've come up with, I think, does that.
So, Bob, I really think that you are an artist at heart. You have this artist soul, and the
Yeah.
materials that you pick and you choose, and you consider the landscaping. I'm wondering how do you choose a project, and what projects are you working for that get you really excited?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess I should start from the beginning. My father was a builder,
Oh,
and he would bring plans home, and I was a plans blueprints. We call them blueprints back then. They were on blue paper and white lines.
yeah. They don't
Which is
call
really-
it blueprints
no, they
anymore.
don't call them blueprints anymore.
Oh, okay.
But I used to, even as young as 8, I'd be doodling on the
Oh.
houses and creating stuff, and I had a love for it.
Yeah.
It didn't end up in architecture. I wasn't really very good in school because I could never sit still and focus. I was one of those kids who were always bouncing off the wall and
I think we
watching the
all were.
clock.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, counting the minutes. But I found my way back into building. I was on a path where my goal was to become a professional soccer player,
Oh,
and that was my goal, a dream. Let's say.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I ever would have made it, but it was my dream.
yeah.
Some people wanted to be a pilot, some wanted to be
But
astronaut.
you wanted to be soccer.
I wanted to be
Goal!
next Pele.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
I got injured in college, and so I ended up, going to work in construction. And,
But you do much more than just
Yeah.
wielding a hammer.
I've had some really good mentors along the way.
Uh-huh.
I think maybe being on the right path that I
Yeah.
was, maybe the reason those doors opened, and I'm really grateful for the people I've learned from, and two men come in mind particularly.
That's great. So what projects are you excited about that gets you really
Yeah.
excited about?
I guess what excites me more than just the project is the people I work with. Because I started off when I got my license in 1984, I was building some custom homes for homeowners. And so I found myself, the path I was going down for the first 20 years was doing owner builders, people who wanted to be involved in the building of their home.
So it's a collaborative effort. You
Yeah,
love that.
because I found it very, I'd love to see excitement. I've worked for some CFOs, CEOs, they were so, I saw these people, these souls that were so burnt out and so driven, and to have them, and that we would start a project, and the way that would usually start is we would get together, have a glass of wine, and start doodling on
And so
paper.
you doodle, you use a pen and paper, and
Yeah.
you like to sketch things out.
And when we kind of talk about ideas, and so it's been really rewarding to see these people, how something that the kid in them coming out,
Yeah.
like, and to see the excitement in their eyes again,
Yeah.
the fire.
Right.
And I've met so many beautiful people along the way, and have developed some really great friendships that still go on to this day.
That's great.
So I
could
guess I'm
see
a
that in
romantic
you.
at heart,
Yeah.
as creativity is, so
That's just what
I don't know if I
drives
answered that right, but I was
No,
trying to
it's-
speak from the heart
you.
there.
Yeah, it's
So,
great.
yeah.
Hey, thanks for watching. And if you want to know more, go ahead and the contact information is down below here. And if you wouldn't mind, like and subscribe to see more videos like this. Thanks.